Welcome to our webinar, Get Your Game Face On, Preparing for the Small Business Conference. This is Ann McLeod, Director of Meetings, Marketing, and Business Development with the SAME National Office. Thank you so much for being a part of this webinar today, and thank you in advance for your participation at the Small Business Conference. Before I hand things over to our great presenter today, Carrie Ann Williams, I just want to share with you that as of right this moment, we have 1,595 individuals registered to attend the conference. We are tracking above our registration numbers from last year, and we expect to end up with about 2,500 individuals in attendance at the conference in November. So we really look forward to your participation. And now to get on to the feature programming, I want to introduce you to Carrie Ann Williams, who is principal of Andana Consulting and a certified professional, Carrie Ann, you can say what CPSM means, Certified Professional Services Marketer.
Yes.
And she works with organizations to successfully track, pursue, and win contracts. She is an active member of SAME at the national and local levels, and she's currently on the board of our Baltimore Post. Carrie Ann has attended each small business conference for the past 7 years, and she's really looking forward to joining everyone again in Pittsburgh and helping you make sure that you make the most of your time there. So, Carrie Ann, welcome and thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, thanks everybody that's attending live this afternoon, and this is being recorded, so you can share this with your other members of your organizations that are coming, or folks that you know that could get some value out of this and preparing to get to this conference. That's super exciting, Ann, that this is going to be so big. I know over the last couple weeks I've talked to so many people about this conference and why I love it so much. You know, it's part of a great marketing plan to attend the Small Business Conference, and then again in May attend Jesse. And at Small Business Conference, everybody is there to make connections and to learn more about how to do their business better, how to bring the right team to the government agencies, you know, and how we can all partner together. So, and from my perspective, it's the most energetic conference because everybody's there for the same reason, and everyone wants to meet new people. So it's a chance for engineers to get out of their comfort zone, and I think everybody really embraces that. So what we're going to talk about today is getting your game face on and preparing for a small business conference. In doing so, kind of getting your firm's messaging really precise so that as you're networking with these 2,500 people and all of the exhibitors and working through the sessions and learning what you need to know, that you're really positioning your firm to do its best work and to in the best light for everything that you're doing. And a good idea is, as we go through the activities in this webinar this afternoon, take some notes.
So what I wanted to set the groundwork for everyone attending is the opportunity to get your messaging together around what your firm does best and how you can present that to the 2,500 people that are presenting or attending Small Business in November. What I started saying earlier too is that the reason Small Business is one of my favorite conferences is because everybody's there for the same reason. Everyone, whether they're small business, large business, new to federal, you know, decades in federal, or even one of the agencies that's there, everybody wants to learn about each other and learn how that they can team together and partner together to better provide service to our government agencies and our military. And so it makes the conference such a great opportunity to really get out of your shell, you know, expand your comfort zone and have those conversations with folks that you might not get to see otherwise. And so what I'm trying to set up for you today in this webinar is really some exercises and activities to get you thinking about how you talk about your firm. I encourage you, if you're on this call and you have others from your office that are attending the conference, to get together with them before you attend and get on the same page about who it is that you want to talk with, who it is that you need to meet with, and what sessions you're attending, but more importantly, how you guys are presenting your firm and your qualifications to the folks that you talk to, so that you're presenting the strongest position of your firm as possible, because this is one opportunity where you can meet hundreds of people that you normally wouldn't. And so how do you walk away leaving them finding value in that conversation with you, and also, you know, the opportunity to follow up and expand that relationship in the future. So this is a graphic about what all the different parts of a strong marketing communications plan, and that research and strategy and business development are really the key components of this that you're executing here at the conference. And also some of the corporate communications, all the marketing that you put together, whether it's something for your booth, whether it's a capabilities brief, or whether it's an email blast that you send out prior to attending about, you know, that get people to come to your booth or to go to your session. These are all ways that you're really consistently communicating your position to the folks that are coming. So I'm going to make sure all that stuff is on the same page. This is a fun little cartoon that my friend Mindy found, and we use it often in our presentations about why marketing is so important. And there's a statistic that we came across saying that firms that do planning are 3 times more successful at winning contracts and maintaining growth over firms that don't. And so including small business in part of your planning and your strategy is definitely valuable in helping you maintain that growth and win contracts. And so you're in the right place, you know, already going to the conference and being active in it. So some of what we're going to talk about today, too, is to help you continue that momentum when you get back. The federal marketplace, as we all know, is different than many of our other markets, whether it's state and local government or commercial and private clients. We have a long business development life cycle, and the Small Business Conference plays a key role in that because so many agencies are at the Small Business Conference, and there's an opportunity to hear their forecasts and hear their pain points and understand what's going on. You can really get in a good position to build that pipeline and start capture planning for those opportunities that are coming down, you know, later in the fiscal year or even further out. And then JETSI, of course, in May gives you an opportunity to further solidify the relationships you build at small business. We're going to talk about the rest of these items throughout this presentation, and really, you know, the differences in federal, making sure that you've got all the pieces in place so that your foundation of your firm's marketing pieces are all in place. The Small Business Conference, of course, is a great place to get in front of the agencies that are, of course, regulated by some rules and regulations that other clients might not be. But here's an opportunity where they're there and eager to talk to you. You don't have to worry about, you know, trying to schedule a lunch, which isn't appropriate on the federal side. So making sure that you're using this opportunity to your advantage. We're going to talk about the rest of these as we go through. One thing I want you to think about as you start preparing your marketing content for the Small Business Conference is the 4 Ps of marketing. In a traditional Marketing 101 class, you would hear that it's product, price, place, and promotion, which is great if you're selling, you know, Kind bars or some new soft drink, but that doesn't really work for services. Ours, for professional services, are really our position, who we are in the market. You know, are we a really niche environmental cleanup firm? Are we a really strong design firm that does highly complex projects? Are we a really strong international firm that excels working in the Middle East? You know, these are the things that help us position our firm and really create that brand in the marketplace. The next is our process. What are the things that we do as our firm that others don't? Maybe there's definitely processes to all that we do, but there's things that each firm executes, the ways that we approach things that are unique to our firm, and those are things that help us stand out. Of course, our people, are unique to the firm because they're the only ones that work there. And so their experience, their expertise, their diversity is all something that only your firm can bring to a project. So you want to be able to highlight that. And also our past performance. We're going to dive into that a bit more in this presentation, but we all know that our past performance, helps us ensure our credibility that we can and have done this work before. We also know that the federal government really relies heavily on our past performance, CPARs and PPQ ratings to know how well we're doing and what kind of work they can expect from us. So we want to make sure that we have those things lined up. As one of the exercises in getting you ready to go, I want you to think about your best clients. Who are the customers that you really enjoy working with, and what is it that makes them a customer that you like? Is it because their values are aligned with yours? Is it because they consistently give you work in your field, if you're on a task order contract? Is it because they communicate early and often and they keep you up to date? Or is it because they challenge you to do more, to take on more, or to do things differently and help you grow? I want you to just keep this in mind, and this is an exercise you could walk through with some of your colleagues before you go. Who do you want to work with and why you want to work with them? Identifying who your best clients are can help you identify future clients, other clients that meet that criteria. So as you walk through the exhibit hall, understanding which firms are really in line with this kind of collaboration that you want to form, that will help you narrow down the list of exhibitors to meet with. We also want to talk about your value proposition and your message. You're all going to create some sort of marketing collateral to take with you, to hand out, to use as a follow-up after the conference. You want to make sure that what you're putting in there is unique to your firm. For part of my MBA program a couple of years ago, we had to do an analysis of competition, and I used the firm that I worked with at the time as the case study. We were a multidiscipline engineering firm with offices up and down the East Coast. And it wasn't until I dove into that project that I realized that our firm overview and our competitors' firm overviews were interchangeable. We just listed our facts about our firm and a list of our capabilities, and it's not really telling the client what's really unique about our firm and what kind of value they get from working with us. So as you create your messaging, as you work on your capability statement, I encourage you to add the phrase, so what, at the end of the sentences that you're putting down or your bullet points. If you have 15 offices, so what? Are they 15 offices in the North Atlantic Division, and you're going to be talking to firms that have contracts in that area, or you're going to be meeting with the Army Corps districts that are there from that division, or are they nationwide, and therefore you're able to work on nationwide IDIQ contracts and keep costs low. You want to make sure that the content that you're putting down is easy to find and easy to read and easy for people to understand how they can work with you and how you can provide value to them on their contracts, which ultimately provides better service to the government. The next is your differentiators. Often on our capability statement, which is a one-page snapshot of our firm, we want to make sure that we're listing our differentiators. And these change over time. So what you put down for this conference could change by the time you get to JETSI. It's often a source of your competitive advantage. So maybe you have an ISO certification, or maybe all of your professionals are credentialed in their profession. So those are things that you can include that help you stand out from your competition that are unique to your firm. Existing contract vehicles can be a differentiator because these are ways that end users and agencies can get to you, and not everybody has them. GSA schedule is kind of prolific, but if you have an IDIQ contract, not everybody has those. So making sure that the people on your team, your colleagues that are going with you, all have access to this information, and perhaps it is part of your capability statement or part of the marketing collateral that you're putting together, that these vehicles are included on that so that people know how to work with you. Your core competencies are another key component of the capability statement. Again, that one-page snapshot that you're going to hand out that tells people who you are. Listing these right at the top, underneath your firm overview is a clear bullet points on what it is that you do best. And I encourage you to think about your core competencies not as your capabilities. Everybody can list the basics about the services that you provide, but what are you really good at? If you were talking to the prime that you most want to speak to at the conference, and you were only to offer them, one thing that you could knock it out of the park when you get that first task order from them, that's your core competency. What is it that you want them to remember you for, and you want them to call you for when you get back? You really want to narrow this down to that unique capability, that unique offering that that you guys do best. And of course, you can have auxiliary capabilities listed. You can, of course, talk about the other things that you do, but these are really the things that you do well, that you do most often, that maybe you make the most money at. These are the things that you really, really want to be leading with so that folks remember you for that capability, and also that you can perform well if and when those task orders come through to you. Your past performance is also something that is always part of the conversation at small business, whether you're networking in the exhibit hall, whether you're networking at one of the icebreaker events. Who did you work with? Who have you worked for? What bases have you worked on? If you're a firm that hasn't done federal work and you're attending small business to learn more about federal work and more about that, you can still put your past performance on your capability statement. Just make sure that what you're putting out there aligns with the federal opportunities that you want to pursue. So if you're a local architect that really does a lot of healthcare work and works with clinics and hospitals in your area, highlighting those and then talking to the primes and the agencies that work with VA and NIH and MedCom would be a really great alignment of your past performance with your projected federal opportunities. You'll also find that past performance can really be a common denominator when you find that you've worked at a base where another teaming partner or prime has worked, that you can find synergies there that would help you build those relationships. So again, having the team from your office that's coming to the conference, really have a good handle on what those past experiences are so that they can speak very smartly about your firm and your experience and where you want to go getting new experience. Your expertise, these are pieces of those 4 Ps that we talked about earlier, the systems and processes that you guys have, the way that you approach your problem solving. This stuff would go into your firm overview. These are things that you'd also want to be highlighting in the conversation, who you have on your team and how your firm really integrates with the other teaming partners that you bring onto a project so that you're able to provide the government with the best solutions. It looks like the internet here is going a little wacky again, so I don't know if my slides will advance or not. But if they are, the next one is your internal purpose statement. And this is not your elevator pitch. We'll get to that in a second. But your internal purpose statement is what you're going to talk to your team about before you come. Or this might be even something you talk to your team about if you're doing strategic planning for 2018 in general. What's on the slide, it says, for your best customer that needs the thing you do, your organization is the type of organization that delivers this thing you do so well, because only you do this thing better than anyone else. This is really a difficult exercise to throw at you in a 1 hour or less webinar, but it's something that you can really sit with and work through with your team. If you're part of a small business, you can focus this just on your full business. But if you have different service lines, perhaps you're a profit center leader and you lead one division or one practice in a larger organization, you can narrow this down to focus just on your practice area so that you're really focusing on what the types of clients and what that message is that you can send out to the folks that you're trying to reach about your practice area. For a small business that might have one or two services, this could really focus on the entire organization. An example, and I use my company because we're a marketing agency that consults to the AEC marketplace. Our best customer, we did this exercise. We determined that our best customer was a firm that was very entrepreneurial, that wanted to grow, that had a lot of excitement for the work that they do. So it's for an entrepreneurial firm that needs marketing and proposal writing services. Andana Consulting is the agency that delivers amazing content and compliant proposals, because only Andana stays calm, cool, and collected on deadline. Because doing that better than anyone else for us means, keeping our poise and keeping things moving even on some of the crazy deadlines that we deal with. So I encourage you to work through that for your firm. Now, these are things that you're going to keep internally, but your external one is your quick pitch, and we don't call it an elevator pitch because that makes everyone cringe and no one really talks when they're in an elevator anyway. If you can see the slide, there's 4 lines on here. If you can't see the slide, hopefully it's being recorded and you can see it later. But it encourages a conversation. So rather than just stating that you're a WDE civil engineering firm when you're at the icebreaker at small business, when somebody says, hey, what do? You might start by asking a question, a yes or no question that will help them answer with your pitch. So if somebody says, what do? You ask them a question that they can answer yes or no. And either way, you respond with something about your organization. Our organization is, so when somebody asks me this, I'll do it as an example. When somebody says, so Carrie Ann, what do you do? I usually ask if they have a marketing department or if they respond to proposals. And whether the answer is yes or no, I say, oh, well, my organization is Andana Consulting, and we work with entrepreneurial firms by creating amazing content and compliant proposals. And I'm the principal of the firm, and it's my job to make sure everything is perfect. I used this as an example the other day. We used a bridge engineer. So if you ask somebody if they ever drive across bridges, and they might say, well, yes. And then you say, well, I'm Rich, and I work with a bridge engineering firm, and it's provides engineering, and it's my job to make them stand up. Something like that we can make it memorable, that engages the conversation. What you want to do is, in a situation at a networking event, as soon as somebody asks who you are and what you do, they're immediately thinking of their answer. Who are they? What do they do? Can you help them? Can you not? If they're not looking for a structural engineer, as soon as you say, I'm a structural engineer, they're on to something else or on to a different thought. So whether you use this process or not, the idea is that you can try and engage somebody in conversation so that they're interested in what you're doing and they're not immediately zoning out. Time magazine did a study, and they determined that before 2000, American adults had an attention span of 12 seconds. So we could stay focused for an average of 12 seconds at a time before trying to switch gears. After 2000, when the smartphones came out, were more prolific, our attention spans dropped to 8 seconds. So that's whether you're in a conversation with somebody, whether you're reading something, no matter what is going on, these are the people are losing attention faster. And just for reference, goldfish are stated to have an attention span of 9 seconds. So they now have the American public beat in terms of attention span. So we want to make sure that as we're conversing with people, as we're paying attention, that we're locking eyes with them, we're really looking at them, not looking around the room, and that when we're talking and they're talking, we're both focused on that conversation. So you can do your part to make sure that you're trying to engage them in your conversation and also paying attention to what they have to say instead of immediately trying to think whether you can do something or not, or they can help you or not. So some marketing tools that you may or may not be using for small business or just in your business in general. The key to all of them is creating that consistency and a one voice and one look and feel across all of them. We talked about capability statement earlier, and I'll dive into some of the details on that in the next slide. But whether you have an email blast going out, a website, a booth, your capability statement, all of your social media, making sure that your logos, your fonts, your colors are all consistent. It helps create clarity about who your firm is. It also creates some trust in that, you've got a solidified brand that everyone is able to recognize, and that you're able to, thoughtfully put forward who your company is across all of these platforms. Some of you will probably use social media. I know there's a hashtag for the conference, and SAME is on Twitter and Facebook. So as you are posting and you want to, include the conference in your online presence, creating some content parameters around what your firm wants to post at the conference. You're making sure that everybody who's attending, if they're posting, that they've got some guidelines about what kind of images you want to post, what kind of content you want to share. If you're at a session, sharing some of the information that you learn there. What would you learn, what would you share that would add value to the folks that are following you online and that also can help elevate your firm's expertise. You may also follow up some of the conference information with a case study or white papers that you've written to follow up with some of those conversations that you have while you're at the conference. Make sure those are branded and also, reflect your firm's expertise. It's just sometimes it seems like a minor thing, but taking some time to make sure that all of your information is consistent can really help elevate your firm. And too, not only for just your general website, but you may do a landing page for the conference. If you're exhibiting and presenting, you may have a page just for the conference where people can download handouts and they can get more information about, who from your firm is attending. Making sure that that is branded just as much as the email that goes out, pushing it forward. But you also might want to create a government-facing page on your website so that when folks get back from the conference and they're going through all their business cards and they check out your website, that they can easily see that you do government work, what kind of work you do. They can easily find points of contact to reach out for the federal work that you guys want to do. So creating maybe it's just one page on your site that has a contact for your federal program manager and a list of your past performance. It doesn't have to be too robust, but it could be something that makes it easy and clear that you all are doing federal work. We've also got one-on-one meetings, which of course you're going to be talking with exactly what the SAME Small Business Conference is about, and I know Ann talked earlier about the roundtables and being able to set up those in advance of going so you can really be prepared for what you want to talk about. Your capability statement, I've mentioned this so many times. For anyone that doesn't know what it is a one-page snapshot of your firm. It needs to be something that really clearly outlines who you are and what you want to be doing with government opportunities. You've got basic company information, your DUNS number, your cage code, your socioeconomic status, any licenses or certifications that are relevant, Your past performance, including points of contact and references, are always very good. And again, those core competencies and differentiators. What makes you stand out as a general contractor or an environmental firm or a construction management firm? What is it that your firm is bringing to the table that can help a prime or help an agency meet their goals? Of course, for the small business conference, these will be a little bit general, but if you already know who you're talking to in terms of the exhibitors that you're going to meet with and the agencies that you want to meet with, you can tailor it to really be honed in on what they're going to want to see. You'll also probably want to come back from the conference and follow up with more tailored ones based on the conversation that you've had with different organizations. We talked briefly a little bit in past performance about aligning what your services are with who buys what you sell, understanding which agencies and which primes are pursuing the work that best suits your firm, who needs to meet some small business goals if you're a small business and you're looking to navigate which firms, which organizations are really pushing for more WBE or SDVOSB. Those resources are available online and through SEO and SPDS. Also just finding out which primes have different contracts can help you know which primes you should talk to in terms of pursuing additional work with them. So SPDS, I don't have a bunch on it, but it's the Federal Procurement Database. If you're not familiar with it, I encourage you to log on. It's fpds.gov. This is a snapshot of their small business scorecard from last year. They do it every year. And you can see which agencies are meeting or exceeding their small business goals. SPDS also is a great resource to find out what contracts the primes and small businesses have that might be exhibiting at the small business conference. So as you go through the exhibitor list and you see a firm that you might be interested in doing business with, and you want to know what contracts they have and how you might be able to align your services with what contracts they have, you can do a search through their DUNS number or through their firm name in SPDS and get a list of the contracts that they have with all kinds of agencies and find out which ones that might have opportunity for you currently, or which ones they have that might be expiring where you could get on the team to be part of the next iteration of that IDIQ type contract. You can also search by agency. So looking at the exhibitor list and seeing which agencies are going to be part of our small business conference, or of course looking at the presentations and which agencies are presenting for us. You can go into SPDS and search by agency, narrow that down to your NAICS code, and then see which ones have issued contracts that fit with what you do. And then again, you've got more conversation to have with them when you get there about their past contracts so that you can learn more about future contracts that really are in line with your business. So this is a lot of work to do in a month when we only have a little bit less than a month to get to the conference. But if there's key agencies, the top 3 or 5 that you really want to talk to, I encourage you to spend a little bit of time doing this before the conference. Of course, they'll give you their forecasts and contact information there so that you can see what is coming up. But knowing a little bit more about the past can be really helpful. So also before you go, check out your SAM registration. It's sam.gov, not .go. But this is where a lot of the agencies go, and some primes go to look at your firm. So you want to make sure that your registration as SAM is up to date, that it is active, and that your past performance is included in there, your most recent SF330 Part 2 if you're an AE firm, your points of contact are correct, that all of your information that's in there is valid. The government uses this a lot for market research, so outside of the conference, it's very important to have your SAM registration up to date. And that ties into the dynamic small business search from SBA. if you are a small business, making sure that that is equally as up to date as the SAM registration, so that if you leave the conference and you have piqued someone's interest and there is an opportunity, they can log in, find you, validate that you are an active firm, that you're ready to go, and then they can start funneling information to you. Of course, the government uses this for market research too, so again, if you're talking to an agency at their booth and they know that they've got something coming up that might be able to be set aside, they might go to SAM before they do a sources sought. So making sure that your stuff is up to date will help them do business with you a little bit better. And quickly here, I know we're coming up on the hour, and I want to give everyone their time back, even though we had some technical difficulties. The game plan for the Small Business Conference, Ann was able to tell you all on this call earlier about the great tools that SAME has implemented this year, and it's very exciting to be able to really do a good pre-planning of the conference and know who you're going to talk to so that you have the opportunity to educate these firms about your business and about how you guys can work together in a really methodical way. So some tips for pre-event planning. It's too late probably to get a booth. I assume that they are sold out. But knowing that you're attending and then who from your firm is participating, like I said, if your firm can get together as a group before you go through the exhibitor list, go through the attendee list, go through the sessions, divide and conquer who's going to what session, how are we going to share this information, how are we going to divide up the exhibit hall floor, make sure that we're all hitting the firms that we want to talk to individually, but also that the firm needs to talk to, perhaps lining up who already knows people. If you already have the opportunity before you go to set up meetings with people instead of hoping to find them at their booth, now's the right time to try and start setting that up. Also understanding how you're going to capture leads at the event. If you're exhibiting, of course, you're going to have a booth giveaway. Maybe it's something really fun that aligns with your company, like a donation to a charity that you really love, or some sort of game that's more than just dropping your card in to get an iPad, but something that really invites people to chat with you. You also, if you're attending, how are you collecting business cards? Is one person from your office going to be responsible for keeping all of those? Are you going to scan them in right away or take a photo and email it back to the office? Making sure that you're really capturing everything that you talk to, and take notes on the business cards after you walk away from someone's booth or even at the booth. No one's going to be offended if you write down, send quals package on Friday on that business card, because if you haven't been to the conference before, and even if you have, with 2,500 people coming, you're not going to remember everyone you talked to, even though you have the best intentions. So take a pen with you, make a note on that card, and make sure that you file that away. Of course, we've gone over ad nauseum the marketing materials that you may or may not have with you, but I encourage everyone to have that capability statement. And I've seen some people, even at the conference, make them half size so that they're easy to hand out and carry around. You're not walking around with a bunch of paper, but something that really is a snapshot of your firm that people can walk away with and also make a note on so that they can call you. If you are presenting, or if someone from your firm is presenting, or if you're exhibiting, you might want to announce this, like we mentioned, via social media or a direct email. I know that the conference has some parameters on the email so that you can follow what they're doing, but making sure that what you're doing is, pushes through your marketing message, pushes through that firm value so that people see it, and it's not just, stop by our booth, but people really understand who from your firm is going to be there. What can I talk to them about? Maybe you talk a little bit about the contracts you have so that people come to you because they want to be able to work with you on those. It's up to your firm, the kind of information that you share, but trying to add some value in all those communications is really important. Again, remember that so what. again, deciding on the sessions, if you have a team, dividing those up, and then also figuring out how you're going to collect that information and share it with your firm when you get back. If you have an email program or some sort of CRM and you want to make sure that all of the contacts that you make at the conference ends up in there, or that you know you're going to send follow-up emails, is it going out as an email blast from your marketing department, or are they individual notes that you're going to write? Coming up with a plan now of how you plan to deal with that as a firm is really going to make it coming back a lot easier. Being out of the office 3 days is always awesome. Then you've got Saturday and Sunday, you come back on Monday, and you've got 3 days worth of work to catch up on. And so that business cards and the brochures that you've collected from the conference often sit in a pile for a month. So if there's a plan to immediately get back to the office, give those to a marketing department or to an admin or another project manager that didn't go to the conference to start helping go through all of that is really going to help make that follow-up and capturing the information that you learned a lot more valuable. During the event, while you're there, you want to make sure, during the event while you're there, you want to make sure that you're hitting the exhibitors that you want to meet with, that you're finding firms that maybe weren't on your list but that align with what you're looking for. Of course, the exhibitors are just a handful of the firms that will be there. So many do not have booths. So being prepared for those conversations that you have at a networking opportunity, either just wandering the exhibit floor, walking out of a session together, or one of the planned networking events, that you're able to have those conversations with different firms and understand how they might fit in with what you're trying to do at the federal level. But also the networking events and the downtime are clearly opportunities to just have fun and enjoy getting to know people outside of the business environment. One of the other reasons I enjoy SAME so much is because of the camaraderie and because there's so much common ground at SAME functions that people do tend to have a lot of fun, and they get to know each other outside of the business environment and have the chance to really build a relationship that's not just grounded in what projects we're doing together. After the conference, we chatted a little bit about this in planning for the conference. You're planning on what you're going to do afterwards. I do encourage everybody to have some sort of post-conference report that they fill out and share with their company. Other folks that didn't go that may want to go in the future, or folks that also attended, that you guys can compare the difference in the experience that you've had. Maybe if you're not exhibiting and you're just attending, you might want to exhibit next year. Or if you did exhibit, making sure that you put down that exhibiting next year is something that your firm definitely should keep in mind, and maybe you're looking at exhibiting at JETSI. All of those things that you really want to understand, so that when you look at your budget for 2018, that you're capturing this conference and all the benefits that you got from it in this report, so that you're able to look forward again next year and make sure that this is on your radar. You want to make sure that your whole team from the conference gets together and sets up action items, because you've all learned different things and had very different experiences. So, how are you building a pipeline based on what you learned at the conference? What action items need to be set up, for immediate action for 1 month from now? Who gets an email? Who's getting a calls package? Who's getting a meeting set up? How are these things all being divided up between those of you that went to the conference? And then how are you sharing it with your firm leadership and other management, so that they see the value in being at this conference and what happened as a result of it? A CRM system, whether it's a formal system or an Excel spreadsheet or something you've set up in your Outlook, to be able to capture these notes and set up that activity report or those activity action plans for when you get back, are really important, so that you don't lose the bubble on what's going on. And finally, I called it the post-game wrap-up, since we had this to get your game face on. Sending a simple handwritten note or a postcard to folks that you really had a good conversation with, that you want to do more with, can be almost more effective than an email. So you can do both. There are both opportunities to maybe send a follow-up quals package more tailored than your capability statement via email, but then you also send a handwritten thank you note. On the previous slide, it said keep your promises. It's reiterated here again. Whatever you promise to send, even though they're as busy as you are when you get back, make sure that you do that. Again, that's why sharing the information with your team and dividing up those follow-up tasks can be really beneficial. Scheduling follow-ups weeks out. Everybody seems to follow up the immediate week after the event because it's fresh and we're all excited and we know we need to get it out. But then in 3 or 4 months, we hadn't followed up again. So again, that's scheduling with your team on what those follow-ups look like, making sure if you do follow up the week after, your recipient is as busy as you are. So maybe follow up again after the holidays before Jesse and see what happens there. Just continue to stay top of mind, but also sending those things out as soon as possible. If you are a firm that has marketing campaigns, making sure that you're able to get these folks integrated into the right channel and adding them to your CRM, like I said, no matter what kind of system you use, making sure that you've got the notes about who you met with, where you met them, what the conversation was about, and any future opportunities can go into that pipeline so that you're prepared for the future. And that's it. I hope you all can still hear me and that the slides are moving, and thank you for dealing with these technical difficulties, but I'm so excited for Pittsburgh, and I hope this has helped give you at least a different way to think about how you present your firm and how you might navigate through the conference.
Carrie Ann, thank you so much. That was really great. I think, my background is not in business development and an AEC firm, and I'm not an engineer. I am a professional meeting and trade show planner, and I think from everything and from my side is that the pre-show preparation just really is so important, and taking the time to prepare like you have shared with us, and setting the goals for your company is the only way that you're really going to get out of the conference what you want. So thank you so much. I did want to share with everyone, we do have booths still available if your company is not exhibiting and you want to do that, and you can just go onto our website, samesbc.org, and click on exhibits to look and see what is available, and of course we would be happy to assist you in that endeavor. So thank you so much once again to Carrie Ann. Thanks to all of you who participated. We have recorded this webinar. If you want to go back and reference anything that Carrie Ann has covered again in the future, definitely share it with your colleagues so they can get prepared as well. We hope you'll join us on our webinar next Thursday about writing your playbook, which really is all about taking the suggestions from Carrie Ann and applying them to all the logistical resources that we have and getting to know what's happening at the conference. So we wish you a really great afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you in just a few weeks from now in Pittsburgh. Thanks again for your participation in the webinar, and thanks again for registering to attend the Small Business Conference. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.